We have the pleasure of speaking with Juanita Skillman this morning, and she's with the Golden Rain Foundation. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, they did meet on Tuesday of last week. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
It's a little dreary out there, huh? Nice to come in, though, and get out of that.
Yeah, well, I guess the big rain's coming later tomorrow or Wednesday.
Exactly.
So another big storm coming in.
Yeah, everybody batten down the hatches again.
Yeah, well, at least here it hasn't been so bad. We did have a little flooding, but most of it's been pretty good. But boy, the Central Valley and up through there.
Right. I think we've been pretty fortunate. Like I said, we had very little flooding, and the Liso Creek seemed to do okay. And then we haven't lost any trees, which sometimes we get that experience as well.
Trees.
Five trees this year? Okay.
But who knows? It's the next storm will be.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about some of the things that you all spoke about last week. And the first thing you really wanted to talk about is that Gate 12 area. Yes,
that's a big issue with us right now. And our General Services Department and our Security Department has been doing great. And at our Security Access meeting last week, they talked about what they're doing. First of all, they've put in a second ambassador. So with two people there, it will help get things through a little bit faster. They're also talking about putting in an RFID reader that we don't have gates. It's too narrow a passage to put in the gates, but it would have like a stoplight, red and green light, where it reads your RFID and puts on the green light. And hopefully that will speed things up a little bit. Also, one of the problems was that Dwelling Live passes did not work for Gate 12. And so now they're fixing it so you can have a one-day pass, but your annual passes through Dwelling Live do not work. You need to get a special one-day pass if you're going to come in as a guest to play golf or to go to the restaurant or one of the functions at Clubhouse 2, whatever. And they're also updating the gatehouse technology because when we built that we did not put in all of the technology that the other gates have, and so they're busy updating that so that they can see a computer immediately that yes, you are sanctioned to come in.
Exactly.
So hopefully that will help.
Yeah, people will notice that that gatehouse is quite, it's a lot smaller than the other gatehouses.
Yeah,
it barely holds one person.
It's just a tiny little thing.
But
of course, when it was built, all we had was the golf course, and then we built Village Greens and put in the restaurant, and then we redid Clubhouse 2, and we redid the lawn bowling and put in the passive park, and then of course all the pickleball came in. So all of a sudden it's a very popular
and I would
gate.
imagine that gate's popular too with a lot of guests, so that kind of slows things down.
Exactly.
And the last thing we want to do is slow down any traffic on Moulton Parkway.
Absolutely. And the worst is where they're coming down and have to turn left. When they're turning right into it on Moulton, it's not so bad because they can stay over to the right. But it kind of blocks traffic for the people that are turning left. So it's just a shame. There have been problems because it was kind of an open gate with people who were not supposed to be here coming in to use our facilities, whether it was pickleball or Club 19 or whatever. And as I think I'd mentioned before, 19 could lose their liquor license because they are specifically mandated only to serve members and guests. And so the other thing is they would have to ask for ID every time they sold a meal or a drink or whatever. So we're trying to work down the middle.
And that's why security is so important no matter what gate it is.
It is. It is. And our security is great. But like all of our departments, they're understaffed.
That's true.
We can't get people to work.
And speaking about security, we have some departments that are actually going to be moving next door to us.
I'm really excited with this. We got the leases signed, and as you can see at the community center right next door to our right, if you go out the front door, is the town center office building, and we have 4 suites now in that. Security is moving over. There are IT department is busy redoing the dispatch center, which is a lot of technology.
Absolutely.
Getting that all ready, and where they hope to move in the end of this month. And landscape services will be there, and 2 of the maintenance divisions, including damage restoration.
Right.
And they have been in horrible, horrible quarters up by the maintenance building in what we call Building E.
Right.
And this last storm really was bad. I mean, leaking and roof coming and all of this kind of stuff. So we're really glad to see them get into good quarters while we decide what we're going to do as a permanent situation. So we have a 2-year lease on this, and I think this will be very good to keep them all close. We looked at rental properties all over Laguna Woods and Aliso Viejo and even up to Irvine. But this is great that they're just right here by us.
Right.
And
it's easy for them to access and then to come over to the community center, because that facility really isn't a walk-in for residents. It's it's all staff related.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, they're in a building that probably was built originally in the 60s, and it's a brick building that's had very little improvements done to it. So,
Right.
you know, I think it's had its time, and we just need to
I
figure
think
out
the
what to do
staff
with
is
it.
going to be so happy to be in
Yeah.
decent office space,
Yeah.
and we owe that to our employees, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they are going to be happy. We actually were working with the IT department. Our broadband techs have been looking at bringing fiber over to that building, and we were able to walk the building last week. It's going to be a much better condition for our staff.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
Be nice to have them get their work done there. And they're right next door.
I feel for them because that other building is so bad. And this is just going to be so much nicer for them. And that's what we owe our employees, is a nice working conditions.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
we've been kind of holding our breath that OSHA wouldn't come down and look at it. We could have gotten in a lot of trouble.
Hopefully they're not watching.
No.
Well, in order to pay for all these things, we want to talk about some of the GRF financial information that you've been sharing.
Yeah, well, this is probably the biggest issue that we're seeing right now on the boards. And it's kind of been one board against the other on how to handle all of this. First pulled out of a lot of their investments and went into T-bills, and then United did everything, and they lost $1.2 million when they cashed everything out. And we look at it and we said, ours would be $1.6 million. Do we really want to do that? It's like a savings account. It's nothing we need right now for operations. Right. So we can wait a year or two as things mature, and as they mature, because then they at least have their face value, then we can change things over. So that's what we've decided to do. Right. Now, right now in GRF, we are better than budget by $188 million. And that's because it's early in the year. A lot of things, the bills and everything come later in the year. So we're going to use that up. That's not going to be a surplus, but we're doing well. But our investment portfolio, which is what everybody's about, is up $275,000. So we are making money. We're doing well. We're protecting our investments. Jim Hopkins, who's the GRF treasurer, gave a fantastic report at our GRF meeting. And anybody that didn't see it, it's being rebroadcast this Wednesday at 5 or 6 p.m. Anyway, in the evening. And you should tune in and see it, because he spent a lot of time doing what I'm summarizing and going over all of that. So we're taking a measured approach toward flexibility and liquidity. We don't need the liquidity that much. We want to be sure that we protect what we've got, and if we make some, that's fine, but we don't want to lose a lot.
Right. Especially after what's happened over the weekend with a couple of these California banks.
Yeah. And none of ours is in Bitcoin.
Okay, good. No crypto. And,
no crypto. Our portfolio contains 6 funds. They're mostly treasury bonds, some AAA corporate bonds, and there are other corporate instruments, but they vary from 1 to 5 years, and the dates of maturity vary. So we have that time to wait and not panic. Yeah. And not lose $1.6 million by dumping everything right now.
And you don't really lose unless you sell it.
That's right,
So
and that's
if you
why
have-
we're
if
not
you-
doing
if
it.
you
And yet we
time-
have other mutuals who are saying, you're not doing your fiduciary duty, you've got to sell, you've got to sell. No, we're not going to do that. And let's see.
And each fund is unique too, because it seems they have bounce back. It says from this slide they have historically rapid interest rates, and we're going to see how the Fed handles this kind of experience over the weekend, and if they will raise rates in the next week.
Because they were supposed to raise rates the end of this month, and now they're saying, nah, maybe not. So, but we're going to wait it out. We figure we're in a really good financial position. Operationally, we have no problem. And we're just going to hold on to our money and see what we've got. Our investment advisor selects the optimum timing for us to convert each fund, and they go 1 to 5 years. And as they mature, we look for one with a higher interest rate, and we move over to that. We want to optimize our return and gain rapid flexibility, taking advantage of the step increases in market value that you see on TV and when you read the papers, et cetera. And they change from lower to higher rate bonds. And if we panic and every time something happens, we go with it's not a good way of managing money, we don't think.
Right.
When each fund's projected market value changes and the yield's optimized, then we move it to treasuries.
Right.
But we're not going to dump everything and move it to treasury right away.
So it's not like the GRF is buying, equities and stocks on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
It's more of a,
they are
very
all government backed.
conservative,
They are all in
government-backed.
government institutions. They're all FDIC backed.
Yeah.
We're not going to lose anything. It just, if we sell right now, we do.
Right.
We could lose $1.6 million.
Right.
And we're not going to do that. So we're going to wait it out and slowly but surely move them to other treasury bills as they mature, and we keep our complete value in it. So Jim Hopkins is really a great treasurer.
Yeah.
And as I say, I encourage everybody to watch the meeting and see his whole complete report, because he does a great job on it.
Yeah.
And
then we'll report again next month.
Then we'll report again next month.
And that's what's so important. People have to be part of the committee process and to be part of that finance committee. And even if you're not a numbers person, just to go and sit and start to understand that the people have a handle on this. And if you've ever met Jim Hopkins, he's a very diligent gentleman, and he knows his numbers. And
Absolutely.
He is really on top of this.
And at the very least, what you should do is watch the board meetings.
Right.
Once a month, our board meetings, because Jim gives a complete report, a treasurer's report and a report from the finance committee, so that the numbers up on the screen, et cetera, even novices can pretty understand where we are and what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And he gives the philosophy behind it too. So.
Exactly. Well, if you can't catch our meeting here on Village Television, be sure and tune into our YouTube channel. You can always go to Village Television. Just search YouTube, Village Television, and you'll find our channel if you're not a subscriber.
Laguna Woods Village Television.
Well, it's actually
I
Village
tried it the other
Television.
way,
Really?
and all I got was nothing. But if I did Laguna Woods Village Television, I found it.
Yeah, so you'd be able to just see our playlist, and you'll be able to see the Golden Rain Foundation, and they're all dated, so that it would be the next one that you would see that comes up on the screen. So we hope that you'll watch it, and you can always watch it at your convenience. You can pause it, and they'll pick it up later on wherever you are. So.
And we'll have another meeting
avenue.
coming up the first weekend, Tuesday in April.
Right.
So we'll get another report.
Sounds good. Well, we thank you so much for coming in this dreary Monday, but thanks so much for joining us today on the program. And
Absolutely.
GRF does meet on the first Tuesday of every month. It's 9:30 right here on Village Television, and it's live, and you can also participate as well, so be sure and look for that Zoom link, or just come on over to the Community Center and be a part of that process. That's going to be at 9:30 in the morning on the first Tuesday of each month right here in your boardroom, right in the Community Center. Thanks again for joining us.
We love to have people come.
Absolutely.
In person.
In person. Be there. Hey, we're going to be back with we're going to have a break, and then we'll be back for a couple more announcements and tell you about what else is going on in your community. We'll be right back right after this.